Even a man who is pure at heart and says his prayers at night may become a wolf when the wolfbane blooms and the autumn moon is bright. Now, those of you who are familiar with Universal Monster movies and any of the derivatives therein will be familiar with this quote. It's been quoted in, I believe, The Howling, as well as several other werewolf movies. It's bunk. Universal made it up for the movie, but it's a nice tone setter for Werecreatures, specifically werewolves, and we'll also be speaking about were-rats today, because those are the two biggest ones in why it would suck to be an adventurer. We're going back. So, Werecreatures, Theranthropes, as they would be more accurately called, are people who are afflicted, typically, not always, but afflicted with a curse that forces them to become an animal or a hybrid of a person and an animal during certain phases of the moon. Most commonly, it is the full moon, though if you play Werewolf the Apocalypse, you know that's debatable. But that's Werewolf the Apocalypse. I'm going to shove that over there, and that's its own thing. We're not talking about that. We're talking about primarily D&D monsters and other games of that nature. So most people are probably also aware that werewolves originate from Greek mythology. A king pissed off the gods, what else is new, got cursed with for him and his offspring to turn into wolves during the full moon. It's a fairly normal god thing to do. That's why it's a curse. It's not a positive. Turning into a wolf sounds cool, right? It's why Werewolf the Apocalypse and Werewolf the Forsaken and games like that exist, because it's fun. You get to be a giant wolfy murder machine, and it's cool. If you go to actual mythology, it's not positive, it's exceedingly negative. In matter of fact, across all of Europe, it's demonic. It is satanic. It's very bad. You are getting this power from an evil being, an evil spirit. You are, in fact, a murderer or something. It keeps going. So, where are were-rats from? I honestly don't know. I don't actually think they have a proper mythological parentage. It might have just been something cool that D&D came up with. Who cares? They're creepy as hell, right? Giant rat men. No, I'm not talking about Skaven. These guys don't have machine guns. Thank God. They're bad enough as it is. So, breaking down why they're awful. I mean, the obvious one is you don't know who's a werewolf. Now, in D&D, various Werecreatures have tells. They've got tells when they're in human form. The werewolf doesn't have any. In mythology, they did. They had particularly hairy hands, sometimes hairy palms, actually. They would have slightly longer than average nails. They would have more pronounced canine teeth. Things like that. Very subtle. Rat men look like Peter Pettigrew. Like, if you look at Peter Pettigrew, you go, that guy's a rat. He's totally a rat. That man looks like a rat. It's painfully obvious. And then Lupin is just a pale dude. You know, there's no tell that he's suddenly a werewolf. I mean, we all know that, but you can't just look at him and go, that guy's a werewolf. That's kind of how D&D went with it. But werewolves are subtle. Other Werecreatures, less so. In particular, the were-rats look like ratty people. They have generally pointed faces and like a hole. Their face goes to a point almost. Primarily the nose. They usually got pronounced front teeth. They got beady eyes. You know, they do this a lot. They're all kind of like agitated. The reason probably why werewolves aren't is wolves are an awful lot like people in a lot of ways. They got their little family groups. They take care of themselves, they work together, things like that. Rats are rats. We don't generally... It's not a positive comparison if you're comparing someone to a rat. Whereas, compare someone to a wolf... Mixed bag. Positive, negative. I mean, wolves are loyal and courageous and powerful. They also eat sheep, and being wolfish is not generally considered a good thing. Being like a wolf is good. Wolfish, not. Weird flex of English. Now, going over the particulars of Theranthropy, or Werecreatures, if you would like to go with the D&D terminology, It's pretty straightforward. There's two versions. There's the natural, which means you are a born lycanthrope, which means, congratulations, you get full control. You're not necessarily evil or good, or you're just whatever you're you. You are you. And you can do whatever you want. Much better. It's a great deal then. Then you get all the cool added bonus things. Which is why we're not going to talk about it, because it's its own thing. You're just a born lycanthrope. Or theranthrope. I'm going to keep saying that. Now, getting into the bad one. This is the cursed one. When a theranthrope bites you, there is a chance that you will contract theranthropy, whichever strain they have. You get bit by a were-rat, you turn into a were-rat, werewolf, etc. Now, for most D&D characters, or most characters in general who are badasses, you're generally fine. Now this, of course, is entirely setting dependent. Sometimes you get bit by a werewolf, that's it, end of discussion, no if and or maybe. It's like the zombie virus. You got bit, you got it, sucks to suck. Of course, games want to be games, they don't want to automatically do that, but let's just go with that. It's probably what it is more closely to, is that you get bit, the odds of you contracting this are very high. Now you require magical healing to get this removed. And you need to know what happened to you. I mean, you might have just been attacked by a wolf. They might not actually hybrid. They might just be a dire rat or a big wolf. Not a dire wolf, just a normal big wolf. And you have to deal with this. And there's no real outward signs that you have, in fact, contracted theranthropy. You don't know until the full moon happens, and then, bam, now you've switched. In the case of a werewolf, you go chaotic evil, and in the case of a were-rat, you go lawful evil. Other games, if they have an alignment system at all, will tell you what this is. Basically, you turn into a giant dick. Werewolves will try to eat people. Or cows. Or sheep. Or people again. Or anything. They don't care. You're not you anymore. It's like there's two yous now. There's you, and then there's horrible murder monster you. Which isn't really you anymore. Because you have no control, and you're not acting like you. There's not even really memories of you, though, again, that one's hazy, depending on your particular theranthropy curse. Were-rats are much the same way. They'll kill people, and then go eat them. They also group up. They form gangs, and they'll go do crazy rat stuff, because it's kind of what rats do. Get groups of rats, they'll run around, they'll eat everything, they'll wreck stuff, they'll commit sabotage. Basically, they're just being jerks for the sake of being jerks, and whatever personal benefit they can get out of it. Their natural weapons are whatever a natural weapon of that animal has. Mostly teeth, usually claws, especially in hybrid form. And hybrid form is probably their biggest threat. If you get a Werecreature that has kind of embraced it as a curse, well, now they can turn into hybrid form and now they have more attacks. They're bigger, they're smarter, they're more threatening, they've got big nasty claws and nasty teeth, and you don't want to deal with this. They will rip you to shreds. They are extremely strong because, well, you took a wolf and made it the size of a person. It's got a lot of muscle mass on it, especially considering wolves are turning into the perfect hunter of people. In the case of the rats, they're turning into, well, giant rat people. Once again, rats can chew through concrete. Okay? It's not like instantaneous, but they can chew through concrete if they feel like it. They can chew through wood. They'll chew through lots of things, including you. And now the rat is this tall. Okay? The rat's head is up here. Yeah, it's not the biggest, you can probably beat the crap out of it. But the rat brings friends. See, that's the thing. Werewolves won't necessarily go make a pack. They're threatening on an individual scale. And of course when the pack comes in, it's horrifying. Go watch Dog Soldiers. Perfect example of what's going on. Were-rats, however, will always bring a party. Even if it's just normal dire rats, which a dire rat's bad enough. I mean, we're talking it's a dog-sized rat. I don't want to deal with it. You don't want to deal with it. Nobody wants to deal with it. That's why we pay people to deal with it. Even if it's just that. Now you have a smart dire rat leading the other rats. Rats are quite intelligent, actually, and they can be trained to do all sorts of crazy stuff. Now you have one being led by a psychopath. You don't want to deal with that. And then if it's a pack of were-rats, not actually sure if it's typically a pack, I'm going to keep calling it a pack anyway, you'd get, if any of them are hybrid form, now they have weapons, because the rats aren't going to use their claws. Now they're going to start using axes, crossbows, wakazashis, two-handed axes, spears. They turn into ninjas. Okay, now you're fighting a bunch of mythical rat ninjas. Not like Splinter. Splinter is not a were-rat. He is an intelligent humanoid rat. Very different. And he's way cooler. Were-rats are awful. They start doing conspiratorial stuff. They'll take over towns. They are very much the we shall spread our influence with our plague type dealios. Because what gets worse here is that, depending, again, on sources, this is very setting dependent and lore dependent, but more often than not, I would say, is that what happens is as time goes on, the person you are is slowly worn away at until just the monster is left. It's kind of what makes Werecreatures terrifying. You are still you until, as the months go on and your transformations continue, what was you is slowly merged with the beast, and the beast usually wins this. It's very unpleasant. American Werewolf in London is kind of a good example of that. It's exceedingly unpleasant. Were-rats, unlike every other were-creature, are more than happy to run around and bite people. And unlike a werewolf, which, if you got bit by a werewolf, you probably fought it off and ran off. Because a werewolf's going to kill you. It's not going to bite you and let you run. It's going to bite you, and if it's letting you run, it's letting you bleed out so it can kill you later, like a proper wolf. A were-rat will bite you, and then let you run away. And then you turn into a were-rat. And then you guys go bite 2 more people. And then it just, whoop, there it goes. That's what happens to were-rats. They do it on purpose, because then all of them slowly kind of get together and form this nice big hive. And then they run things. And then they keep spreading outwards. That's why when you find a were-rat infestation, you burn it to the ground. Or get Therianthrope hunters to go do it for you, because, you know, that's what they get paid for. Now, upside of this. If you brought silver to this party, congratulations! Werecreatures are a cakewalk. Bring this. A nice, big, honkin' crossbow, so you don't have to be anywhere near that thing, and then the big angry werewolf comes hunting you and you just a nice big crossbow bolt into its chest, and it'll probably die. Now, of course, depending on myth, game, and media in general, the silver will do various things. Perfect example, Werewolf the Forsaken and Werewolf the Apocalypse. Silver does extra damage. It hurts like hell. It burns them. They can't really touch it. This depends on which version and which clan you are and blah, 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 blah. D&D, it's just any damage that's not silver is reduced. This would be the regenerating style, where you stab it, and if it's not silver, it's just going to stitch itself back together. No big whoop. And then there's ones that kind of do both, where they regenerate, and the silver counteracts the regeneration, but it also hurts a hell of a lot more. So, mixed bag. Also, please, for the love of God, remember Wolf's Bane is a thing, and it's way easier to get your hands on than silver. It's also called Monk's Hood. It's good stuff. Get that, slather that all over your weapon, except the part you grab, obviously, and then stab the crap out of the thing. Or shoot it. Preferably shoot it. I don't want to be anywhere near a Werecreature. You don't want to be anywhere near a Werecreature. Nobody wants to be near Werecreatures. Okay? You shoot them. Also, if there's a cure wherever you are, bring that along if it's possible to bottle, or just have someone on standby for that. Because that's the big fear of Werecreatures. They turn you into one of them. And you don't get a choice in the matter. It's worse than zombies. Zombies, you died. That's the nice thing about a zombie. You're dead. You don't care anymore. In the case of the Werecreature, it's rewriting your personality. It is personality death. Your body is still walking around doing things, but you, the person you were before you got bit, is gone. And it's very disturbing. Brings up all sorts of uncomfortable questions. Now, other than that, ain't much to say on Therianthropes. They're pretty straightforward, very simplistic. Creepy as hell when played right. And usually it's in the let's ramp up the paranoia so nobody knows who's who, and then you find out the entire town actually is a bunch of werewolves. Always fun, right? Now, as you all know, it's Halloween-ish. So I will be doing the 10 days of Halloween. This is day 1, and I am actually going to keep this going because it's Halloween. This is the one time you guys know for a fact I am going to consistently upload. Because I'm me. And I am sorry about that. It's a little channel admin here. I had a lot of overtime, and it really cuts into my ability to do much of anything, frankly, so I have bunches of hobbies that take lots of time. This happens to be one of them. This one kind of was catching the short end of the stick for a while. Sorry about that, but I will be making sure this gets done, and then I'll go try and hope to God I have less overtime and can maybe get to some of the things I was trying to do a while back. Like, clean that gun. And other such things, and the Akbar video. I know! I'm sorry. That one just kept getting put on the back burner, and I'll get to it. Gotcha. Alright, channel I'm out of the way. Remember to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment below.